Good evening and welcome. We're happy to have you join us this evening for our regular council meeting for the 24th of January. Before we get started, we have a couple of things to address. So we are trying to sit a little bit socially distanced because of COVID, and we have two council members that are very socially distant this evening. Ms. Huntington, if you would state where you are and your reason for not being present this evening.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So I'm here at my home in Radford. I had a COVID exposure last week, and this week I began experiencing mild symptoms. So I am waiting for my COVID test results and staying here at home.
Mr. Hyde, if you would do the same.
Yes, also in my home in Radford, also had a COVID exposure and have started to experience some mild symptoms. So hanging back at home.
Do we have a motion to allow Ms. Huntington and Mr. Hyde to participate remotely?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So, and we do have a quorum locally here of 3 council members present. So our 2 remote council members are able to participate, and then we move forward from there. At this time, we will begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll ask Gary Harris to lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Please also, if you'll join us in a moment of reflection. Thank you all very much. Council members, well, actually, before we get to that, we do have an opportunity for citizen comments on public matters. You have 3 minutes if you would like to make a comment. We will ask that you come down to the podium, speak directly into the microphone, so adjust that if you need to. State your name for the record, and please conclude your comments within the 3 minutes. So we will open the floor for citizen comments. Seeing no one rushing for the podium, we will close the floor for citizen comments. Council members, you all have minutes from the closed session meeting on November the 22nd, 2021, which was related to the replacement of the departure of Onassis Barres as a council member. Dr. Harshberger has since joined us in that stead. Then we also have the minutes from the regular meeting on January 10th, 2022. Before we get to that one, though, do we have any changes to the meeting minutes from November 22nd, or do we want to adopt them as presented? Do we have a motion? So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And then for the minutes for January 10th, 2022, I actually noted a little typo in my council comments, and I've given that to Jenny, just about great job to our community and staff in fighting the COVID battle. Are there any other changes, or shall we take them as amended so far?
So moved.
So we have a motion to accept as amended. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, at this time, we are going to conduct a public hearing for Radford Transit as part of our requirement to receive the funding that we receive. We do have a public hearing on that. This process is such that we are going to talk about the application and proposed use of $2.5 million planned for the operating funding, $500,000 for capital investment, and $35,000 for equipment in the fiscal year 2023 budget. So at this time, we will open the floor for our public hearing. If you have any comments related to the Radford Transit operating budget, please come down and make a statement. Seeing no one approaching the podium for the public hearing, we will go on and close the public hearing at this time. And we will move forward with our new business, and I'll turn the floor over to Melissa Skelton, our Community Development Transit Coordinator, to do a presentation on their fiscal year 2023 operating budget for Radford Transit. So Melissa, the floor is yours. You want to move to that?
Be happy to.
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't
Okay.
for you, but just to give you as you stated, Mayor, each year we are required to submit a federal application for our transit budget. This year has been a little bit difficult. Certainly, we take into consideration we're in the middle of a transit contract provider negotiations. So we're trying to determine how we're going to go ahead and proceed moving forward. Hopefully, council will agree with this. We will be submitting both the application and the proposals to the state to DRPT to know that we are working towards a contractor. So not having that final number for you, I know is not the best way to go, but certainly we always do our due diligence in terms of how we spend the money. Certainly taxpayers as well as the state and federal funding. We have benefited over the last couple of years receiving CARES and ARPA money. So we've been able to, we'll be able to roll some of that funding over for our upcoming year. So the impact won't be so much for our community. Certainly this year, we've got 3 buses that we're going to replace on our, if it's approved by the state and federal government. To keep our buses in good working condition for our community.
And since we're in the process of looking for a new provider for us for this, if for some reason that provider number should come in higher than we're anticipating, would you like to address just any of the plans that we might have in mind for addressing some of that?
Always can look at routes.
Yep.
You know, we're certainly, and that's something that we do regularly anyways. Certainly it's not, we don't want it to be driven by money, but certainly when it comes down to it, if we have to, we certainly will. City routes are a little bit harder. We only have really 4 routes that we have. So it's really be restricting the times that we'll be running those buses. University has a lot more, so we've got a lot more flexibility in those adjustments. Certainly over the last couple of years, not just with transit, with every industry, you can see the cost has really increased. So certainly we have to really look at those numbers and where those cost savings can come in. Certainly Dave and I had lots of discussion. Do we keep it external? Do we bring it internal? Certainly there's a lot we've got to decide.
Okay. Council members, do you have any questions? Naomi, being remote, do you have any questions? Okay, Forrest, do you have anything?
No questions.
Okay, Jesse, what do you have?
Well, before I leave today, we have to get me on the schedule to ride the bus. So that's my goal by the next meeting is take a transit tour.
We're running our regular schedule, so we'll
All right,
get that.
Let's
going.
do it.
There you go. Dr. Harshberger, you have anything?
Just the 3 buses, new buses, the old ones will be surplused. Are they surplused at this point?
Not at this point. We have to wait until we actually get them built. We have 2 new flyers that are actually they should be delivered in February. We'll surplus those 2. FY 21, we were approved 2 low floor buses that we were waiting on the state contract to come through, and that was done in the middle of December. So those will be ordered in the next month, and they take anywhere from 18 to 24 months to build. So once we receive them, then we surplus them. So this is still probably 2 years out before we will receive them. It's just part of the process that we have to go through. And any of the capital that we see, certainly it's still at the 80% federal, 16% local, state, and then 4% is split between the university and the city.
I'll just add one thing to that. As you all know, Radford Transit, we could not do the transit system if it was not for DRPT in the state, as well as our partner in Radford University. That's what makes it go. We have a very small investment in that for our portion of it. So that's what makes all of that work. And we appreciate all the help what Melissa's done with DRPT as well as the FTA in making those pieces come together for us. This is our 10th year, a 9th
Yeah.
year.
We just had our
finished
anniversary.
10th year anniversary, correct. So, and we certainly have George Courtney with us from Radford University.
Hey, George.
representing
Yep, George is
transit,
here.
so great, it's been a great partnership and it's always growing pains.
Well, and I was just going to say, the ridership has continued to improve over the years. That's been a positive for us. I know so many people use this as a lifeline for work and for essentials that they need to get, especially during the pandemic. That was a big challenge. It also keeps more cars off the road. The more buses we're able to run, the fewer roads we have to worry about building and addressing some of that. So there's a lot of benefit to this. We should know something on our supplier or our operator before too long. And then we'll go through this process and then come back into it with the regular budget season.
Correct. Hopefully tonight, I do have to have it submitted to the,
Yep.
to the state by February 1st, so.
So we need a motion to approve this plan to be submitted. Do we have a motion to do so?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Melissa. We are very fortunate to have an outstanding Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to our Chamber President and all the board members who are here this evening. You all help us so much with everything that happens in our business community and representing the city so well. The Executive Director of the Chamber, Dan McKinney, is here to do a presentation for us this evening, and then we will consider the city's MOU with the Chamber at that point in time. So Dan, the floor is yours, and if you'll pull the mic right up to your mouth so that everybody can hear you online.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. So first, I just want to take a little bit of time to say thank you to the city council, David Repath, all the supporting cast. We couldn't do most of our job without a great partnership with the city. Kim Repass as well. It'd be amiss if I didn't speak her name. So certainly want to say thank you very much for your past support and certainly look forward to the future. Next, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our board members that are actually here supporting me. Michelle Beal, Abram Williams, Brad Angel. Thank you. And I've also got two other guests here as well. So I have two interns this semester, Jesse and Ben, if you could just raise your hand. Oh, come on, Ben. Yes, I will call you out. Thank you very much. With all that being said, we do have a PowerPoint presentation up on the screen. Just going to try to roll through that. I came here back in May of 2021 when I took over this role. Most of you know that I had a previous history with the chamber, so didn't come into this blind, so tried to hit the ground running. I think we had a great year as a chamber and reflective of what the city of Radford businesses experienced as well, even if we are still in a pandemic. So clicker, how does the clicker work? Okay. So just press the center button. So a message from Abram, who is our president. You can kind of read that. It kind of spoke to the same thing that I mentioned as far as having a strong partnership with the city, how the businesses reacted, how everybody had to pivot a little bit to deal with this pandemic. And most of our businesses in the city of Radford did a great job. So I know we lost a few businesses, especially service-oriented businesses, but most of our restaurants survived, and that's a good thing compared to other communities. Like I said before, just looking for hoping to leapfrog 2021 into 2022. Next screen is just our board of directors. We've already talked about Abram Williams. Just want to recognize these people. They're hugely supportive of me. I can call on any one of these people at any given time and bounce things off them. I'm a firm believer that everybody can have a good idea, but it takes more than one person to have a great idea. So people who aren't here, Keith Weltons, Jennifer Litton, John Zeitz, Linda Gardner, Dee Dee Kennedy, Jody Rowe. Oh, Dee Dee's back there. Cool.
Jody's here with us too. Yeah.
All right. Kim Repass, of course, is our representative on our board from the city for economic development. Dr. DJ is here as well. And Ryan Seavey was on our board for 2021, so that's why he's mentioned on that screen. He has, however, since resigned, he's moved out of the area. But he was a great board member as well. So moving into what did we do in 2021? So we did actually grow the chamber a little bit. We didn't have a huge new member list, and I'll get to those here in a second on another screen. We did achieve a huge social media presence growth. So our Facebook page saw an increase of viewership by over 500%. That was just a daily task that I did, upwards of 2 hours a day, just trying to make sure that all of our member businesses that posted on Facebook got reposted, and anything that was community-based that I thought could benefit both the organization for doing the community event and all other businesses by having people come in. Certainly push that out as far as I could. So I'll give our mayor a little bit of credence here. So back when he was president of the chamber years ago, he wanted us to do a YouTube channel. We never got rid of it. Mind you, it only had one thing on it.
Yeah.
It now has more than one thing on it. So that's been kind of the chamber's pivot. So how do you do things in the 21st century, 22nd, whatever we're in? So it used to be pictures, right? So now it's actually motion picture or video. So any new members that don't have a brick and mortar, that we can't do a traditional ribbon cutting, or even if they do have a brick and mortar place, we're actually doing a video and posting it on there. David and I have talked about that a little bit further, about how to get that pushed out and start getting people subscribed to it. I think it's tremendous potential for economic development growth and that sort of thing. I talked about that. So if you missed the Christmas parade videos are actually on there as well. The Wildwood murals that Brooke Love had done is on there as well, with a little narration from her. So just trying to put as much stuff on there as we possibly can about Radford. And then the last thing on the 2021 goals was I had a personal mission to try to go out and visit as many business owners and managers, trying to find out what their pains are and how I could maybe help. So I think we had a great 2021, all things considered. So I'm looking to leapfrog that, like I said before, into 2022. Kind of already talked about this slide. We did add 8 new members. We had a lot of, I'll caveat this with what I talked about to Ben earlier in the office, but we had a lot of members that didn't pay for a year or two. So having to reach back out to them. So I could actually artificially, in my opinion, inflate that number to about 38, but 8 true new members. So who were the new chamber members for 2021? So Virginia Furniture Market Mattress Store, which is right across the bridge. Body Works Massage, which is right here in off Main Street. The Rotary. Epperly Mill, which is a venue in Floyd County. Remax Cavaliers, which is a second location for that particular real estate agency, and they're moving into Central Market, which is being slowly renovated, and we see the facade going up. Good Samaritan Hospice was a new member, or is a new member. Intercept Health in Radford as well. And then a company by Courtney Nichols, Travel Bash. She moved here when her husband came here to coach Radford University's Highlanders. And moving forward, I'm trying to roll through this pretty quickly, although I could talk all day about some of the stuff. My fall semester intern was a lady by the name of Brianna Wright. Was a super, super big help, took some of the things off of my plate that, especially that I didn't care to do. So I just wanted to recognize her. She's not here tonight though. So chamber involvement 2021. I'm just going to roll down through these. I have some other slides that go to some of these things as well. So we had our 7th annual golf tournament. That was a huge success back in May. It's always a great time. Professional Rehab Associates is doing an annual Bloodmobile. Their first year was last year. They've already got their date set for spring of this year. Brought Business Over Breakfast back. We do that the first Wednesday of every month. It's usually at 8 a.m. at one of the local restaurants. We continued the partnership with the NRV Homegrown Go Local card. If you'd like more information about that, I can certainly provide that if you have any questions individually. The tourism department with the city of Radford, Kim Repass, and the chamber partnered to bring couple concerts to town. So the Motown Review and Domino Band. We did club fair at Radford University, where local companies are able to get on campus and get exposure to the students. A couple of people I know I can point you out if you want me to. We also participated with the Highlander Festival this year, and we will, going into 2022, we've already agreed to do the same again for this year, so looking forward to that. We're still participating in the Trex Community Recycling Initiative, where if you collect 500 pounds of plastic bags or plastic wrap, that sort of thing, Trex will actually send you a free bench. So I need to talk to you.
We got to get that bench on the triangle, absolutely.
So we need to schedule that and get that done. Pintwood Derby at Longway Brewing was a benefit for the local scouting in the area. Halloween treat trail, I have a slide for that. You'll see some pictures that are super cute. Our 2nd annual holiday display contest, we actually ended up with a few more contestants this year. Got some pictures on that as well. Hopefully you got to go around and see some of the great displays that were done by both businesses and homes. And some people go all out. And of course, the last thing we did for the end of the year beside the holiday display contest was Small Business Saturday. So just trying to promote people to shop local. So just some pictures from our annual golf tournament. Radford Drug, Shores Express, and First Community Bank were title and/or co-sponsors. Super appreciative of their support. A team from PepsiCo actually won the traveling trophy. So I will be getting that back. And we look, Harvey Chevrolet always does a hole-in-one, win the car. So that's one of the pictures up there as well. There are some cute kids. So it was a dismal day. I won't lie. It looked like it could rain at any time, but there had to be at least 400 kids out there, if not more.
It's great.
It was crazy. The Radford City Police Department did a great job setting up right there in East Main, that little pocket park there. And whoever the resource officer was, I didn't catch his name, seemed like every kid knew him.
I think Mark Mills was down there. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Just some additional pictures. One that a little bit personal to me, and what happened back probably in June or July. I have a picture of the Mary Draper Ingalls statue. We had a lady who reached out to me from northern New Jersey who found out through DNA testing that she was a descendant of Mary Draper Ingalls. She wanted to come here and find out more. So I set her up with meeting with Scott Gardner at Glencoe. She had already had Bud Jeffrey's phone number for the farm, but I got Marceline Hunter involved. And then Keith Welton's at Longway Brewing kind of explained to her what his take of Mary Draper Ingalls was and how they came with the name for the brewery. And she just had a super time here. She appreciated all the warm and welcome people that she ran into. And she wants me to keep in touch and let her know if there's any more events type things that go on around Mary Draper Ingalls. So as a chamber that had somebody contact me, I just want to say thank you to the community. That's super cool. People travel that far and have a good time.
Well, I have to champion Dr. Harshberger for being a champion of the Bring Mary Home statue all those years. And without that, we wouldn't have that marker in place. And that is a thing. So absolutely, it's a big part of our tourism.
Took us
piece.
7 years.
So this is a slide for Business Over Breakfast. I've already talked about that. But our 3 hosts for 2021 that we held was True Hotel out by the interstate, Sweet and Savory, and BT's. And we had Kim Repass talk a little bit at one of them. A little bit corny. The company that does the popcorn was a presenter at the one at Sweet and Savory. And then Good Samaritan Hospice or Advanced Illness Care talked to us last time at BT. So the next Business Over Breakfast is actually the 2nd of February. It will be at BT's. So if you want to.
Where is that? At where?
BTs.
BT's. So if you wish to attend, just reach out to me. There's no charge to come to those, by the way. We always have a couple speakers and that sort of thing. Just some pictures from the holiday display contest. They're kind of hard to see, but there were some houses that just went all out. I mean, just super crazy. And even David Horton got involved. And yeah, I'm rehashing some of the stuff, so I'll go through it very quickly. Ribbon cuttings and videos that we did. First NRV Credit Union did some renovations on their property on the inside, so they had a reopening ribbon cutting. Company Ability to Access, which specializes in providing vision impaired people with being able to read, either by Braille or by magnification type products. They're right there on Wadsworth. Travel Bash was a video with Courtney Nichols talking about her. She's a concierge type service for weddings at venues other than where you live. Destination weddings, that's what I was looking for. Next one, another video with Bill McCann, who is the founder of Vittles for Vets. We've done a couple different videos now for Glencoe Mansion Museum and Gallery with Scott Gardner. Where he talked about the murals at Wildwood Park, Brook Love. Good Samaritan Hospice gave us a little video as well. 11 West, John Geeson had two new people on the sales staff, so we did a couple videos for them, and then multiple videos of the Christmas parade. So the YouTube channel, you go to YouTube, if you search Radford Chamber of Commerce, you will get to our page. Please like or subscribe. Certainly appreciate that. Looking forward to populate that page by a whole lot more this year. And Ben is actually going to help me quite a bit this semester. That's the goal. So what do we do going forward? So we want to continue to develop a strong social media presence. Really strong on Facebook right now, but we need to move into Instagram and whatever else needs to be out there. We're also going to do the YouTube channel. We want to continue to partner with the city of Radford, both economic development and the Office of Tourism. Certainly have a whole, Kim Repass with tourism has some concerts scheduled, and we are partnering in whatever way, shape, or form we can do to help on that. Kind of already talked about some dates and got some things rolling there. Might want to talk with Scott Gardner at Glencoe and meeting with Kim for the last concert of the season, trying to do something a little bit special. And then finally, as every chamber should, allow for networking of our member businesses, potential member businesses, and other professionals with volunteer opportunities, after hours events, and other social events. That kind of concludes the annual report. If you have any questions, by all means, love to have the opportunity to answer.
Thank you, thank you. I'm going to go around the horn in just a second. Before I do that, I want to just say two things. I want to talk a little bit about the MOU, but first I want to say thank you to you, Dan, to Abram, to the board, to everybody who helped out. Having a vibrant chamber, especially during the pandemic, is so important. And it's definitely been noted, all the good things the chamber has been doing. So thank you to everybody for all your work with everything. Just as a note, the MOU is for $18,000, $14,000 for our chamber membership, $4,000 for the Festival of Lights. Marceline Hunter is actually looking to purchase some additional holiday decorations for us for downtown, for the Festival of Lights that can be used for Christmas, for the Winterfest, and throughout the wintertime season. So that will go on. And the specific note, no money will be used for political agendas. So that's out of that completely. Naomi, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't have any questions, but I did just want to spread some praise. As you all know, I sit on the Tourism Commission, and since Dan joined us last year, there has not been a single Tourism Commission meeting when he has not volunteered to do something in collaboration with the city. So he's been just an extraordinary partner. And so I just wanted to say thank you to him, as well as to all of the chamber members. One of the disadvantages of being virtual is that I can't see everybody out there. So I wish I could, but I'm just very grateful and wanted to let everyone just affirm what we all just heard, which is that the chamber has just been a wonderful partner for us.
Forrest, do you have anything?
Just to echo those comments, really appreciate everyone and all the work they've been doing, especially in these difficult times. Appreciate you all coming out tonight and that presentation as well.
Jesse?
Well, I just want to commend you for planning the events inside Radford. So I know those of you that were here last year, that was sort of a little bit of an annoyance that we were holding so many of the Radford Chamber events outside of Radford, although I certainly understand wanting to be loving to our neighbors. I'm glad to see Radford on the forefront of that. And I saw that you guys are looking at some of the socials again, once I'm sure some more of this is passed. What are you guys looking at doing?
So we did one night at Longway Brewing last year, and that was to actually benefit the scholarship fund, which the previous check, the only check we've written for that so far has been to the ACE program. That'll probably happen again at least once, maybe not twice this year. Our annual gala, every time I go to pull the trigger and say we're going to do it, COVID numbers spike. I'm like, geez. So it'll happen in November of this year. We decided to just go ahead and put it off and be smart about it and try to keep everybody safe and healthy. And Kind of talking what I talked about when I came back in May. Those plans haven't changed. We'll try to do the same format, have a little bit of business and have a little bit of fun. I truly believe more networking happens when you're having fun than sitting at tables and people talk. Sorry, I'm not talking right now. So that's about it. I mean, looking at doing some after hours things. A couple businesses have expressed interest in doing that. So we want to try to be a little creative about it and try to benefit some parties that we wouldn't ordinarily benefit. A lot of our nonprofits in the area have taken a huge beating the past 2 years, and anything we can do to try to help them out as well, I'll try to do my best. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dick, do you have anything?
Yes, just as Dan knows, I'm the new representative on the board for the chamber from city council. So I expect to provide a close liaison between the chamber and the city council, and I look forward to that, and to look forward to working with this wonderful board of directors that you have assembled. I also will be, and I'm sure Kim Repass will be helping me with the double whammy on that. We'd like to see the chamber involved in the amphitheater development that will be coming down the pike during the next year. So brace yourself. Thank you.
As Naomi said before, I usually end up doing something much to my wife's dismay. So more involved now than I ever have been. So absolutely.
And I'll just end by saying, Dan, you alluded to this a little bit. You've been involved with the chamber for a decade now, whether it be as a member or as an officer, as president, now as executive director, and your work is very much appreciated. Thank you so very much for all that you do. Council members, you all have the MOU in front of you. It is for, as I said, $18,000 in the budget, $14,000 for our membership, $4,000 for the Festival of Lights. Do we have any discussion related to the MOU? Do we have a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the 2022 memorandum of understanding between the city of Radford and the Radford Chamber of Commerce.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to old business, and again, I have spoken with someone regarding the Peppers Ferry Regional Water Treatment Authority. We don't have a final resolution on that. If anyone else has a name they want to put out there, you're more than welcome to, but I think I have a representative for us. I just haven't been able to finalize that yet. So I apologize. It'll have to move to the next meeting. But we do have a very qualified person who I think may be interested in that. Our next piece is one that we're going to take a few minutes to talk about, and it has been a very complicated road to get here. Members of the Radford Fire and EMS Department have requested membership consideration in the International Association of Firefighters. Certainly, all of our members of our fire and EMS can join that organization as a professional association. But then the second component is being recognized as a collective bargaining unit. And the Commonwealth of Virginia last year gave approval for localities to consider collective bargaining in association with the employment of their folks in the public sector. So it's not just necessarily for fire and EMS, it's certainly across the board with the public sector. We've been working with this really for about a year now, taking this into account, thinking about it. Jessica Burton, who is the local 5330 president, the Radford chapter of the International Association of Firefighters, gave us an overview last year, and we were very appreciative of that with what the expectations of the city, the organizational plans, and we've had discussion ever since. Parallel to this, the city has been working with our fire department going back since several of the members joined council in 2018. We began a study looking at the fire department's infrastructure and what all was needed at the fire department. We received information on that study this past year and have been taking action to correct anything that we see that might be a challenge. So there's been a lot of moving parts with this. Mrs. Foster has been the council representative to the fire department and has met with many of our firefighters and our EMS employees there, working to talk about issues that might be at hand and how we can make this the best situation possible. We did, as a council, approve an ordinance on August 20th, 2021 that established the provisions for recognition of an organization for consideration as a collective bargaining unit. As such, the local IAFF submitted a request to be formally recognized by the city in collective bargaining on October the 6th. According to the legislation from the Commonwealth of Virginia, we have 120 days from the time that is received to act on it in a yes or no fashion. And as such, we've been working through this. Now, of course, this calendar didn't necessarily work in our favor with many holidays and many times away from the business environment over the last 120 days. Our final deadline would have been February 3rd, but we are going to address things here this evening. As such, we've taken a lot into consideration and certainly have some things that we want to talk about. So I want to give every council member a chance to make a couple of comments before we get into the action that we're going to take this evening and how we're going to move to discuss this. So Naomi, I'll begin with you. If you would like to take a couple of minutes to make some comments about the collective bargaining process and where we are.
Sure, I would. Thank you. As you all know, I've done a lot of soul searching on this matter. I've done the best that I could to research on my own a very complicated situation, a very complicated process. And at the end of the day, in my heart of hearts, what I have come to realize is that I am in favor of collective bargaining. And that does extend to public employees. And so the resolution that council will be considering today is not one that I'm going to be supporting because I would vote in favor of supporting the collective bargaining with the employees of the fire and EMS department. I say that not unlightly because I do recognize the challenges that will pose. I recognize that could cause budget considerations and staff considerations, and I realize those and I take those very seriously. But I also believe that the benefits outweigh the risks. Collective bargaining for our employees would empower them to come together in a very formal way to negotiate their conditions of employment. And I think that would be a very attractive thing for an employee. And I also think that it has the potential to set us apart from other localities. We have the chance here to lead, to create a model for other small jurisdictions that are facing the same possibility. And we can customize a system of collective bargaining that really works for us as a city. We don't have to follow what other jurisdictions are doing. We can say this may work for them, but it doesn't work for us, and really have the chance to create and model something for ourselves. It would be a challenge, I recognize that, but I do believe it would also be an opportunity. And so I will be voting no on any resolution that does not support collective bargaining. I would, though, just like to end on a very positive note, because I think this is important. David, you mentioned a number of discussions that we've had to make our fire and EMS department the best that it can be. And I think that those have been very productive, very positive. And I really do believe that every single member on the city council, our city manager, his staff, everyone here has our employees' best interests at heart. I think that I am just prepared to go a step further than some of my fellow council members are at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Forrest, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Mayor. I would not vote to adopt a collective bargaining agreement in the city of Radford were it on the table tonight. I'm quite happy for the city to have informal relationships with unions for discussion and mutual benefit. We want to remain competitive in attracting potential workers to Radford and keeping them here. Such a relationship could help us accomplish that goal. And of course, as you'll see in the resolution, we as a city must remain steadfastly open to our employees for discussion and betterment of all parties. But the exclusive nature of a collective bargaining agreement troubles me, and it's something that I know troubles some of the very people who would be impacted, some of the people who would be represented, who perhaps would not want that to be the case. So additionally, the potential taxpayer funding that could be required in future for the likes of mediation, and the simple fact that such a big step would be extremely difficult to reverse if it turned out to be a bad decision for us are two big issues for me. So I'll be voting yes to this resolution, which does not institute collective bargaining, but does reinforce our commitment to our employees' welfare. I do want to state, though, that I remain ever appreciative of the brave work that our fire and EMS workers do for us every day, along with all the work that all of our city employees do on a daily basis to collectively help the New River City function.
Thank you. Dick, what do you have for us this evening?
Yes, let me just say that I always have mixed emotion when it comes to union. I was a member of 3 unions, and one of them was an AFL-CIO affiliated chapter of the American Federation of Teachers, where I was the treasurer of that organization. The results of that particular one, I don't think really gained what the members wanted out of it. I don't think it went well. I'm concerned about the restrictive membership policies that the IAFF have. I believe, we place a great value on our volunteer members. And let me read to you from the IAAF. IAFF. The IAFF as a union represents full-time paid firefighters and emergency medical technicians, and membership is not open to volunteer firefighters. Its bylaws do not allow members to work or volunteer with any other emergency service organization beyond their full-time employer and can have their membership revoked if they do. This seems to be, could drive a wedge between our full paid employees and our volunteers, which we value highly. That said, I also studied our employee handbook, and our employee handbook has, and some revisions that have come recently in the last 2 years that really recognize the unique nature of the firefighters and the police and how we apply certain benefits and relationship leave and leave policies and so on. I thought it was very meaningful and very cognizant of the differences, the special nature of your service, of the service of those people. And then I see some of the steps recently taken to enhance the negotiations between the city and the employees that have been taken by the city manager's office. So those are factors that I take into, and that's one of the reasons I am going to be voting no for the resolution.
Jesse?
Yes. So I am the representative that's been going to the firehouse every 3 months, give or take, through COVID. And what I want to say first and foremost is the concerns that they are bringing to the table are valid concerns. And they are things that have to be addressed. So the question is, how do we address them effectively? And we were even on the phone today, back and forth individually with council, going into detail on this. That's one of the things I don't like about this is we're feeling very rushed. It feels to me like there's a premise that's promising, but there are so many unknowns. Even today, we got word that now there's legislation that could potentially take away this right that you've just obtained. So it's all over the place with very little guidance or direction. That makes me uncomfortable. I like to be the one that's first and foremost, but at the same time, your careers are in line and that's what feeds your family. So I take that very seriously. We were working pretty closely and talking about some of the things that you guys needed right before COVID. And I will take some responsibility in saying, once COVID hit, my attention was drawn in a lot of other directions too. So I felt like we were making traction, we lost traction, and we're gaining traction. So I don't want you guys to think that in any way, by not supporting your current motion to have the union participation with the city, I really feel like we have a good enough relationship. We're a small enough city that we should be able to communicate and work through things together. Now, in saying that, I have seen some of the barriers firsthand. So I know those are real too. And I've made it very clear to council that if I don't see the movement that I need to make sure that you guys are, you feel like you're in an environment that you're supported, that you're trained, that you're free of retaliation, that you have appropriate promotional opportunities that are just, that you feel like, you know, we're maintaining equipment well, that we're giving you proper sleeping quarters, which, as you know, is a big deal for me, trying to get that resolved. But if I don't feel like we're making the traction that we need, if I feel like council or the city manager is not going to support some of these things that we've been discussing, then I assure you, I will be the first up here to revisit this, if not demand it. And that's because you guys have my utmost respect. And in this process, I really want to figure out the best way to facilitate conversations. And I really am not convinced that a union is going to create such great will between us. I don't know if that's true. Hopefully, with what you've been seeing happening, gives you that forward momentum to know that these are not boilerplate responses, certainly not from me. And I know from council, we're all going to watch this very closely. I am not opposed to collective bargaining. In fact, in many instances, I'm a big fan of it. I'm going to say that, you know, there's also party platforms involved, but this is not the place for party platforms. This is really the place where we need to make sure that your needs are met. I just wanted to go over some of the things that we've been doing to get here. We have some littler things, but I'm gonna spare you all the details on that. But you know, we've did the modular upgrade for your living space, enhanced training facilities. We have created a position, a captain position for EMS, which was one of the main things you guys asked for. You felt like that EMS was getting more runs at this point, and you didn't have a voice or that equal representation. You're going to have that now. There will be a check and balance and leadership within that building, which I think is important. We also were doing a salary study, because one of the other things that every time we talk is real concern that the areas around us are nabbing you guys, and we want to keep you. You're the very best, and we know it, and we don't want to lose you. So we are undergoing salary adjustments. We're going to be evaluating how competitive we are. And of course, we want ongoing communication with you in those regards as well. So I've taken notes on all that, and I've shared all that, and we're committed to make sure that there's nowhere else that you want to be in your career. So today I did, Jessica and I reached out to each other, and we usually communicate pretty effectively and quite regularly. And I just asked her going into this, because this is truly how fast this all has come at us. I said, where we are now, what is still outlying? What else are we needing? What do you see now that is still required that we haven't done? And I think very, very good things like honest, open working relationship with the city. Well, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to ensure that while I'm on this council, that you have that. And even though we've, as a council, been working on this, you've not always seen what we've been doing behind the scenes. One thing we've been doing, as you know, is a study even on the building, which started way before conversations on collective bargaining. Procedures and policies. David, do you want to touch on that? I know that's one thing you've been looking at.
Yeah, we've been working with Jessica and the department on trying to get as many policies out there. I know the SOPs are in the process of being revisited again and trying to get those out so they're the most effective they can be for the department. And that's got 6 people from the department that's on there. I think all the lieutenants and a person from each of the shifts is on there as well, trying to move those forward. So,
Perfect.
and then also looking at a little more challenging is trying to make sure that we're addressing periods of rest. I know that's one of the big things is making sure that our folks
And
aren't tired.
holidays, how we handle
Yeah,
holidays.
and also the holiday piece as well, to make sure that you're not repetitively being called in for holiday periods.
So hopefully you hear some of this being regurgitated, some of the things that you've mentioned to me, that you see that they have been discussed in a positive way. Let's see, I've got notes and notes and notes, but I think another thing that she'd mentioned in regards to the policies and procedures is just making sure that everyone knows what is expected. If this, then this. And you guys have felt a little insecurity with not knowing that. Hopefully with this process, you will know. Also, there's going to be increased training. You want to just briefly tell them some of the trainings you have?
Yeah, and I think they're aware of it. We're doing leadership training, not only for the chief, but any of the leadership folks are involved in that part of it. And then also training associated with your job skills as well. So we're trying to hit as many of those different things as we can.
Okay, and so I'm going to try to wrap this up, but I feel like because I have worked so closely with you guys that I want to make sure that you understand my perspective on this. The other thing is the numbers, as many of you have come to me for the union, there's been really close to the same amount that are not quite sure that they want a middle entity to come between us in our communications. I feel like as long as we keep this momentum, then I feel very good about that. Like I said, if our momentum shifts, then we're going to have to revisit this. I am committed to continue the conversations. You're still going to see me. And I know you guys you'll be first to yank my tail and hold me accountable, but I assure you, I'm going to continue to do everything I can on your behalf. Okay, so another important point that I spoke with council is I really feel it's important when we talk about communication that you guys understand that we're very serious about that. These are not just words. So what I'm proposing is at least within next year, and then we'll revisit and see where we're at. I want us to have anonymous surveys. I'm hoping to have those every 3 months because I think we're out of habit in communicating between the department and the city. And I want you guys to get in the habit, and I want the city to get in the habit to make sure that one, what are we doing that's working? What are your priorities and how do we improve? So it's not, oh, we're just going to continue talking. I want to put a little bit of teeth behind that. And I want to do that in regular increments. And I have like 3 more pages, but I will be out very shortly. And certainly we can continue to hold these conversations. And I fully expect you to continue to hold me and council, city manager, your leadership accountable.
And I just wanted to add to that with everything that's been said. We have struggled with trying to figure out how to address this as a council. Naomi alluded to the fact that the only folks in the Commonwealth, for the most part, that have taken up collective bargaining are more metropolitan areas that tend to have much larger departments, much larger public workforces, also typically more resources. And she brought up an interesting point talking about leading. I think one of the things we are doing is leading in looking at ways we can enhance employee participation in this process. There's a whole line of things we can do before we get to the collective bargaining piece. And you'll hear that as I read the resolution this evening and as we move forward. This is an important thing. And the Commonwealth has not provided tremendous resources for localities to navigate and to work through this. And it is still an evolving situation. As Ms. Foster mentioned, there are numerous bills before the General Assembly tweaking, adjusting, changing what collective bargaining might look like even as soon as this summer. And so it feels a little premature to go down that path because there's a whole lot we don't know, in addition to all of the things that we're doing as a locality to address challenges and issues that we're made aware of. So with that in mind, we do have a resolution here. I'd like to read the entire resolution so that you know what we're talking about, where we're looking, and then we're going to do a roll call vote following that. This is a resolution relating to collective bargaining in the city of Radford, Virginia. Whereas effective May 1st, 2021, Virginia Code 40.1-57.2 provides that no state, county, city, town, or like governmental officer, agent, or governing body is vested with or possesses any authority to recognize any labor union or other employee association as a bargaining agent of any public officers or employees, or to collectively bargain or enter into collective bargaining contract with any such union or association or its agents with respect to any matter relating to them or their employment or service, unless in the case of a county, city, or town, such authority is provided or permitted by a local ordinance or by resolution. And whereas the city of Radford, Virginia has not adopted an ordinance or resolution establishing authority to recognize bargaining agents, for its employees, or to collectively bargain or negotiate and enter into collective bargaining agreements. And whereas Virginia Code 40.1-57.2 further provides that for any governing body of a county, city, or town that has not adopted an ordinance or resolution providing for collective bargaining, such governing body shall, within 120 days of receiving certification from a majority of public employees in a unit considered by such employees to be appropriate for the purposes of collective bargaining, take a vote to adopt or not adopt an ordinance or resolution to provide for collective bargaining by such employees and any other public employees deemed appropriate by the governing body. And whereas on October the 6th, 2021, a group of employees with the Radford Fire and Rescue Department filed a certification petition for vote on collective bargaining with the city to request that the City Council for the City of Radford, Virginia, take a vote on whether to provide for collective bargaining. And whereas it is the policy of the city to promote a positive workplace environment for its employees and open doors to management where employee concerns may be heard and addressed. And whereas it is further the policy of the city to promote a dedicated and high-performing workforce that supports the city's responsibility to the health, safety, and welfare of its residents and the uninterrupted operations and functions of government. And whereas the City Council recognizes that the establishment of reasonable means and procedures for employees to address the terms and conditions of their employment with management is essential to the advancement of the above policies and goals. And whereas, upon review of the collective bargaining requests, the City Council has determined that collective bargaining is not the most appropriate procedure for the city at this time. And whereas, although the City Council has determined to not authorize collective bargaining, the city reaffirms its commitment to providing reasonable means and procedures that enhance employee participation in the resolution of matters concerning the terms and conditions of employment through the use and development of the city's personnel policies and procedures. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Radford pursuant to Virginia Code 40.1-57.2 that collective bargaining is not authorized in the city and no official employee, appointee, or agent of the city is vested with or possesses any authority to recognize any labor union or other employee association or organization as a bargaining agent of any city officers or employees, or to collectively bargain or enter into any collective bargaining contract with such union or association or organization or its agents with respect to any matter relating to them or their employment or service. And be it further resolved by the Council of the City of Radford that the city manager is directed to develop such policies and procedures as may be necessary to enhance employee participation concerning the terms and condition of their employment, including but not limited to the implementation of periodic employee surveys as part of departmental reviews. And this is pursuant to section 2.14 of the city's charter. This matter shall take effect immediately. Council members, is there any further discussion from anyone before we hold the roll call vote? Ms. Goodman, if you'll call the roll. Oh, that's true. We do have to have a motion. Do we have a motion to adopt our resolution?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll call.
Ms. Huntington,
No.
Mr. Height,
Yes.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Dr. Harshberger,
Yes.
Mayor Horton.
Yes. And as such, the resolution passes. And again, there are a couple of things that I want to point out as we wrap this up. It's at this time that we are not prepared to enter into this simply because there are many steps along the way. This doesn't mean it's a closed door, but it means we want to see how these other things work, how we continue to move forward, and to make the best decision for the city of Radford. It's a complicated subject and one that we have spent many hours on and will spend many more hours on. And as such, David, we will turn the floor over to you for any city manager comments this evening.
Yes, Mayor, just a few quick things. Of course, with this past week has been a busy one with the storm. First part of the week, we're still working to try to get some ice. Unfortunately, cold temperatures hit us pretty quickly. So trying to get as much done as we possibly can, clear some sidewalks off. Anticipate a little bit more bad weather later in this week, but hopefully some more temperatures next couple of days will help us out. Busy working on the ARPA money, ARPA money, trying to start implementing some of the things that council talked about at the retreat. I'll be having a report for you probably next month. We'll see the first couple of projects come to you guys that were top priorities to get those underway. And hopefully you can see some things on the ground maybe as soon as the summertime. So as I mentioned earlier in the meeting when we talked about audit, the unique thing, nice thing about what you all have done with your ARPA money is you've got it invested in some good branches. You've got it in quality of life. You've got it in economic development. You've got it in recreation and those kinds of things. So it's a really good direction. It's money that you will always see. It's not one-time expense that you spend it and then you're going to have to keep committing to it. But the investments you're making are things that are going to stay with us for a long period of time. Economy's doing well. We with weather improving, we've got a lot of building permits out there. Nearly everywhere you go, you see some projects under construction. So we're continuing to advance those. Looking forward to seeing some of these housing projects, patio homes coming on the ground in the coming months as those projects are getting kicked off out on 232. And then the last thing I have is the circle that was damaged during the holidays. We will have contractor finally got everything worked out, the insurance carrier that was responsible, and have the contractor on there probably as early as tomorrow, weather permitting, and hopefully be able to fix that up within a couple of days.
All right.
So
Thank you very much.
that's it.
Naomi, what do you have?
All right, a couple of things. Wanted to do some reports from the commissions I'm sitting on. First of all, tourism. Kim has a number of great events lined up coming up over the course of the next year. First thing to keep an eye out for is we have some more art coming back to the city. You'll all remember the sculptures that were up last year. We're getting new ones. So keep an eye out. Those should be around up within the next few weeks. So looking forward to seeing some new art coming around to the city. And then also Dan mentioned this earlier, but she is beginning to organize the summer concert series. So we've done a lot of brainstorming about what can go into those concert series and how to make that a really fun event for everyone in the city. Next thing, just wanted to mention something from the Planning Commission. At our last meeting, we had a really good conversation. We are working on an overall refurbishment of our zoning ordinances. And so a representative from the Regional Commission, AFI, came in and gave a discussion of the process that she's thinking of using as we go through this, how we can, how we can do the best job, making sure that the ordinances are very reflective of what our city's needs are. So that was a really good conversation. We're really at the very beginning of that process, so more to come in the future. And then finally, I did just want to say on a personal note, because I am at home right now, potentially with COVID, we'll see, and as soon as I get my PCR test results. As I was, Googling, trying to figure out what to do and what policies I needed to follow, I did come back to the NRV Road to Wellness website. And I just wanted to let everybody know that if you are in need of a PCR test, there are free PCR tests through our health department. They're in 9 to 11:30, and Mondays they're in Christiansburg, Tuesdays they're in Floyd, Wednesday Pulaski County, Thursday they're in Montgomery, and then on Fridays they're here in Radford. So it's a great resource. It was super easy, very, very easy to facilitate, and hopefully it will be a quick test result too. So that's all for me. And oh, well, actually, I do want to just say one more note. It's always a pleasure to serve with my fellow council members, especially when we have contentious issues to discuss. I appreciate the fact that we can have disagreements and still respect each other. And I really do just, I value the conversations that we have so much. That's it. Good night.
Thank you very much. Forrest, what do you have for us?
Well spoken, Vice Mayor. Nothing from me tonight, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Harshberger, what do you have?
Not much, just I'm making connection with my new board memberships and also some of my old ones. The Agency on Aging looks like it's going to be able to keep its lease across the river here, even though the buildings have been, I understand, sold. The foundation buildings, the Radford University Foundation buildings have been sold, and I think it's to Sheeler Associates. But in any event, that's going well. I think this transition's going to be smooth there. So I'm happy to hear that. I don't have anything else. I've spoken a lot tonight.
Thank you very much, sir. Jesse?
My moment of silence was dedicated to Paul Cameron King this evening. I just wanted to give a quick update from the Heritage Foundation. They are gearing up. They're doing some reallocating of Scott Gardner's hours. They're really going to start focusing on trying to do more community events to bring the community together and to learn history. Like the chamber president said, so you can learn so much better sometimes having fun, right? So we're going to try to find more ways. A couple of things they have on the docket that you might be familiar with already with West End Wednesdays. They are going to do a Mary Draper Ingalls weekend. Their Craft and Draft. They're going to have a first responders event, Highlanders Festival. In November and December, they're going to be looking at open houses. So, and of course, there's always different exhibits. I want to also point out the gift store there. If you have not had an opportunity, you must go. There's a lot of really neat things that are made by local artisans. Also, there's a new book out. It's called The Warden's War. It's by William Davis and Sue Heath Bell. So they're going to be having that for sale. We were able to kind of read some of the excerpts, and it'll be very interesting for sure. They don't know if you caught it, I did not, but PBS had a special about the New River Valley. They will also be selling that. So run to get your copy. I also want to say in regards to our firemen and women, most of our boards and committees, we meet monthly. And if you guys think that it would benefit us to meet more than quarterly, at least starting out, we could get something set on the schedule. And instead of me dropping in on occasion, we can make a full date of it. And we know that I will be there on a certain date, a certain time as expected. Of course, fires, don't always happen when we want them to, which is never, but we'll work around that the best that we can. So you guys give that some thought, and I'm sure Jessica and I'll be communicating again. If that's something you think would be beneficial, then just know I'm more than willing to do that.
Thank you
That's
very
it for me.
much. I just have a couple of quick things. We've been working so hard to try to build the plan for moving out of the pandemic. Unfortunately, we are still in the pandemic. Please stay safe out there. Wear masks where you can. If you haven't been vaccinated, it's never too late, and we hope that some people will consider that. We've had an extremely high number of cases in the city of Radford, in the New River Valley, and in the Commonwealth of Virginia over the last month. We're hopefully starting to move off of that high. But out of respect, for example, for our EMS and first responders, our police and fire, the more folks that need help, the more challenge that is. And so that's been a big challenge for us as we move forward. We are planning a lot with East Main Street. We're looking at things throughout the city. One of the things I will ask of everyone in attendance here and everyone that is watching us online, whether it be tonight or some other time, if there are things that you see that you would like to see done in this city that you feel are needed, reach out to us. We work through everything. It may not be the solution that is most desired right up front, but it may be a solution that gets us there. And that's really our goal, is to try to find answers in any way, shape, or form, even if we can't go the full distance, to find steps along the way to move us in the right direction. And we've been working very hard in every area to try to do that. I also know there's so many people who make this city work so well. I mean, you heard from Dan tonight with all the wonderful things that the chamber does and the chamber board. And of course, our fire and EMS workers who work so hard, and our unsung heroes. One of the things I'd like to try to do this next year is to support more of our unsung heroes here in the city. So I'm starting a little program I'm calling the Radford Spotlight, mainly on social media. I'll be highlighting people, but I'm opening it up to nominations, and I'll be introducing something here pretty soon. Folks that you think that need a special shout out, that have done a great job with their volunteer efforts, with their work for the city, with the things that have been done. We want to highlight those people and to make a big difference, to share their stories. And that's all I have for this evening. We do need to go into a closed session related to personnel. So at this time, we would make a motion that we move into closed session for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and evaluation of performance of departments under Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1. I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in